Bill Clinton testifying on the Epstein probe, but it's behind closed doors. Can't watch it. Iran, we might bomb them any minute. We might have a war over the weekend. Apparently, U.S. personnel are getting evacuated from sites
China just
in
pulled
Israel,
their people out of Iran.
Yeah, so a lot going on there. It could be the last-minute brinkmanship before some deal is reached and it all pulls back.
Yep.
Or the decision might be made. But for now, we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
There's a lot that we are paying attention to and watching. Obviously, if anything breaks in the midst of the show, we will move to it immediately. We've got stories we have to hit here in the first part of this hour. Then we're going to bring in Brandon Herrera, who's running for Congress in Texas at the middle of this hour. Then we have Pastor John Amonchukwu, Mikey McCoy. We're going to be doing Ask Us Anything Fridays. So you can call in, join us, members.charliekirk.com, members.charliekirk.com if you want to take part in that and actually ask questions on the air. But first, let's just go over what happened yesterday really quick with Hillary Clinton. She was actually in New York testifying before James Comer's committee about Epstein. Everything seems to be about Epstein. Yesterday, we talked a lot about it, debunking the NPR bombshell, which needed to be done. I noticed that a lot of news, let's just say broadcast news from primetime did that last night as well, following our lead. So I was glad to see that. But here's what I will say. Hillary Clinton basically threw President Clinton under the bus yesterday. 598.
If you really have specific questions about the Clinton Global Initiative or the relationship between the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, you got to ask Bill Clinton.
That's a great point. The number of times that she said, "I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband," was more than a dozen.
Yeah. So basically,
Frosty.
If you want to know the state of the Clinton marriage, that was probably a very good tell. So Bill Clinton has now come out with his statement. He said, "Good morning, welcome to Chappaqua, I guess. I'm here today for two reasons. The first is that I love my country, and America was built upon the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents. Democracy requires every person to play their part, blah, blah, blah. The second reason I'm here is that girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not only justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was truly going on, I'm here to offer what little I know so that I might prevent anything like this from ever happening again."
I'll be blunt. I don't think Bill Clinton is there because he loves his country. I think he's there because he loves young women, as we know with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, and then he kind of goes on, he's just saying, I had no idea the crimes Epstein was committing. I know what I saw. I know what I didn't. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself. All right, so that's going to be the tone today from Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's got a lot of splaining to do. Lots of splaining to do. We want to then transition over to this story. So we're going to watch that. Again, it's behind closed doors. Maybe there'll be a leaked photo today. Maybe we'll have to.
We'll see. We'll see.
But the headline from the New York Times. Blake.
Yes. So sometimes Charlie would like to take a step back and focus on those big picture cultural issues. And I think this is a great example of it. If you open NewYorkTimes.com at this moment, their lead story is not Iran. It's not Epstein. It's the American birth rate is plunging. Here's why. Some say that's a good thing. The political class is worried about the historic drop, but the biggest change is among the youngest women who are the least ready to have children. It's entirely embracing the culture, let's call it the culture of death, the culture of decline, the culture of no future, because this article comes out simultaneously with another headline, and we'll talk about both. We have a story out of Canada with, it was a report it was like the data chief of the Medical Assistance in Dying program for the province of Ontario. That's the largest province in Canada. In 2023, so it's even worse now, in 2023, 65 people were able to kill themselves with the medical assistance and dying program on the
hold
same day they
Yes.
applied for it.
Exactly. So that's the big news. They get killed the same day that they applied for it.
Apply to
But
suicide
can we just-
and get it the same day.
Can we just stop on this acronym of MAID?
Made.
Medical assistance in dying. It's euthanasia. It's suicide. And the Canadian government, we've known this for a while, but this is what was crazy. Did you know that over 5% of deaths, of all deaths in 2024 in Canada, were MAID deaths? That's, again, assisted suicide. And they call it healthcare. Now, what's also very creepy is there was a horrific case. The only name we have for this is Mrs. B, who's tried to withdraw her MAID request, and it was overridden by family. So she didn't want to die. She changed her mind. She cited religious convictions and values for why she changed her mind. And then they did it anyways. And they killed her. So that is a death cult. When somebody who wants to live is unable to live because the doctors and a family member basically murdered her. That's what that is. That's murder. It's not suicide. That's murder.
Exactly. No, it is. And these issues are so innately linked together. This desire to have no children, this desire to perpetuate adolescence, and then simultaneously at the end of life to rush into suicide. Every horror story about assisted suicide that exists has already happened, where people are pressured by family members into killing themselves because they're tired of taking care of them, where supposed healthcare workers are pressuring someone into suicide rather than providing them actual treatment for what they want. There are cases where people who are suffering from disabilities, where they're basically told, yeah, we can't actually supply you with any normal treatments, but there's suicide if you want that, if you're feeling depressed about things. And they're endlessly expanding it. They're expanding it to teenagers. They're expanding it to people who only have psychological distress. And I suspect inevitably they'll extend it to using it involuntarily on people that they decide are not worth treating in any way.
And that is another story. There's an image of this New York Post has an image of this 26-year-old that was killed because I guess he had mental illness and they killed him. He had mental illness. So instead of dealing with the mental illness, they killed him. Tell me that makes any sense. His name was, by the way, I want to get his name, Keanu Vafaiani's parents. And his parents accused authorities of failing to protect their son, who was euthanized at 26 despite a history of mental illness. If we can put his picture up, I think that would be important. Death cult. I don't think any country will be blessed for embracing such despicable, disgusting ideas. Flu season doesn't wait, and neither should you. The smart move is to prepare before anyone in your family gets sick. That's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They let you stock up ahead of time on Tamiflu, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, vitamins, and more, delivered right to your door. And the best part? Every order includes the doctor's prescription, so there's no insurance, hassles, or last-minute pharmacy runs. Be proactive, not reactive. Prepare today. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk and use code KIRK10 to save 10% today. This is just a terrible story. Keanu Vafaian accused authorities of failing to protect their vulnerable son, the parents of him, who was able to end his life with assisted suicide despite a history of mental illness. They say that Vafaian had seasonal depression, suffered from type 1 diabetes, and lost vision in one eye when he died last December. So they just killed him. Here's what's very terrifying, is Governor Kathy Hochul in December said that she would sign a law, medical aid in dying, a bill giving state sanction to doctors in New York, helping terminally ill patients end their lives.
It's such a dark thing. Like, we always sympathize with people who are dying, but every incentive that legalizing assisted suicide creates is so profoundly negative for me. You're giving extra power to people who, I'll be frank, are often already inclined to feel they have godlike power over individuals. We, again, already have cases in other countries and I think in this country, but certainly in others, where doctors decide, I don't think this person's life is worth living, so I'm going to push suicide on them. I think that's the best outcome for them. Once you are creating a system where where the group of people who are supposed to treat illness have kill this person as a treatment, shockingly, they decide in a lot of cases, killing this person is easier than trying to cure them or help them.
Yeah, well, and again, when they first passed this law, it was bad enough, but they mandated a minimum 10-day wait period. Now people are getting killed on the same day. Here's Charlie talking about medical assistance in death. 616.
The biggest innovation in Canada right now is they become the most famously pro-suicide country in the world. Not a joke. They have long wait for medical procedures, mass proliferation of drug usage, except, of course, if you want to be able to use suicidal drugs or suicide pods. They call it MAID, M-A-I-D, medical assistance in dying.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And here's the sad part of this. You have a bunch of people that are sucking up resources. Like if you have socialized medicine, this is how you look at it. They're consuming resources. They are either terminally ill or they want to die, and they're ready to die. And so why not just help them do it earlier? Because guess what? You'll save some money. You'll save some resources. That I'm not saying that is the major driving force. I think they've convinced themselves that this is compassion, this is healthcare. But you better believe it's at least one of the motivations.
It's sort of two things at once. It's one, on the one hand, viewing people from the eyes of the state as purely like resource consumers who can be optimized out of things. Like, oh, this person's at the end of their life. They are useless. Discard them. And on the individual level, seeing life only as basically a hedonic exercise. So my life is not very enjoyable at this point, so I should just snuff it out at this moment. And that's why it does relate so directly to the children question as well, because the same impulses that cause people to avoid having children, to actively reject it, which the New York Times is celebrating, are the same impulses that drive them to kill themselves when their lives are painful towards the end. And I think Charlie observed that as well. We have a good clip of him just talking about the attitude towards children. Let's do 622.
Kids are largely presented as a burden, not a blessing. The people that live the most joyful and deepest lives tend to have kids, and then a lot of kids, that their lives are harder, their lives are crazier, they're less about themselves, but they're deeper and more fulfilling.
So here's the New York Times bottom line. They say that over half of women, so they celebrate it because their main point is that there's less sort of teenage pregnancies. Okay, that's their top line. But their top line is that now over half of 30-year-old women, almost half, are childless. In 1976, that was just 18%. So at 30 years old, just 18% of women in America were childless.
And they have these quotes like, Hope Beshever is one of these women. She has a deep ambivalence about having children. She wants control over her life after a chaotic childhood. When she was 13, she had to care for her younger brothers, 2 and 4, and while her father, a corrections officer, worked. Sometimes I picture having a kid, and I think of that overload. 2 kids, both in diapers. Now 30, she is happily married and living in Denver. She works at a gym and says she is selfish with her time. And then she says, my husband and I, we like our peace.
Yeah, okay. So this is all garbage.
I'll let you go off on that
Yeah,
one.
This is all garbage. So throw up that graph again. They actually put the graph up a little early. This is young married moms are the happiest. This is from the General Social Survey from 2018 to 2024. Married moms, 40%, and this is between ages 22 and 35, that are very happy. Married moms, 41%, by far the highest. Married and childless, also the next highest. Look who is very unhappy. Unmarried moms and unmarried childless, okay? Those are the groups, the cohorts that are not happy. If you are a woman and your goal is to live a fulfilling life and a productive life and a happy life, guess what? The odds are very much more in your favor to be happy and fulfilled if you are married with children, or if you are married and you don't have children. That's good too.
But as Charlie would point out, it's not even just about, your raw hedonic happiness. Life is not about pleasure. Life is about fulfilling duties as well. And
well, but you will be happier if you are pursuing duty and
True.
you're pursuing honor.
In the long run, you will. But it's also just, you have to say yes to, your life is not, oh, I'm just going to have fun and do whatever I feel like and have no obligations. You increase the meaning and importance of your life when you embrace having obligations to other people, as Charlie would say, obligations to God, obligations to a spouse, and yes, obligations to the children you and your spouse have together. And it's a very bleak sign for our civilization if the New York Times is running out with this headline that just says, actually, everyone deciding to not have kids is a good thing.
Oh,
and yeah, maybe a half century from now, no one will be around anymore.
By the way,
it's not our problem. We'll have killed ourselves.
We'll just import a bunch of foreigners. We'll replace you.